welcoming you back into our live stream with our audience. Thanking everyone that's in the audience, especially our moderator. Solar Dialogue, you are back in the building, brother. So, how are you today?
Yes. I'm good. I mean, my phone and I mean, River hating on me a little bit, but that's all right. But I'm blessed.
As you should be, as you should be. You got
And how are you
Oprah
doing?
still up to this. I'm doing well. I'm not nervous at all. Again, this is a new take that we're
Yeah.
doing with the audience and everything. Our moderator, she has been amazing. Shout out to our moderator who is
Shout out to the
taking care.
moderator.
I know, man. She's taking care of the chat. I'm not sure if you can see the chat. We got about 8 people in the audience right now. And if anyone
Okay.
wants to join in the conversation, feel free to do so. We'd love to have you on and talk with us. So while I have the artist, the dialogue, let's jump into some questions. My very first question I got to ask you, brother. When did you fall in love in hip hop? What was that song or that movement or that time frame for you when it came to you being introduced and holding very firm to hip hop, the music?
I wouldn't shoot. I can. So I don't think anyone ever asked me that. I can't say particularly hip hop, but I know music. I grew up in the church. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so I grew up in the Kojic church. So I remember maybe church music more than hip hop. Period. And I would say maybe 11, 12. But then even then, you were listening to hip hop then, but in my frame of reference, it was always localized. So the hip hop that I was listening to was people hear stuff on the radio, but I was what I was seeing. So back in those days, I was listening to from DJ Spanish Fly, DJ Squeaky in Memphis, like just underground stuff, and then I kind of went back. So by the time I was a teenager, obviously, the tribes and I should say early Dilla and stuff like that. That's where I kind of found my footing. But like straight out hip hop, I mean, you knew it was around. You saw the Run DMCs, you saw the LL Cool J's, but like I saw things locally. So like that kind of reflects a lot more on the music. Plus, like I said, just music in general. My basis is always going to be the church because that's what I remember from a child. You know.
That's right. Being that soul stirring music, right? And never letting go of that.
Oh yeah,
Probably
yeah, yeah, definitely.
using those inspirations because when we think about the church and the music that it produces, it's supposed to move people. It's supposed to inspire. So having that as an example of having someone on the microphone that's inspiring you to think higher, that's a wonderful start to any type of music that anyone can approach to, right? What was like one of your favorite church songs?
Oh yeah, definitely. Shoot, man. I used to like before they say I'm woke, whatever. I used to like Amazing Grace until I found out the backstory of Amazing Grace. I'm like, Grace no more. But I'm listening to a lot of mass choirs, like Mississippi Mass Choir and like LA Mass Choir, Amazing Choir. So like having you there, like Kirk Franklin is way, by that time I might have been like a teenager, but like just remembering from like a kid, I remember like the big choirs and stuff like that. So
That's right, and that is reminiscent because you almost have like a choir on your albums. You are featuring so many dope artists for your music. I can definitely see
oh yeah,
that lineage, that alignment of your child of God in Christ roots, along with those hip hop roots, which is
yeah.
making a super dope sound. Now,
Actually, you want to know something?
yeah,
But
talk to me.
before I was telling my little sister last night because I was telling her like, yeah, I'm about to do man an interview with my girl Mel. I ain't seen her. I ain't seen you about 20 years. I know, but
Yeah,
I said the funny thing. I said, you want to know something? I said Mel, the reason I met Lyric Hill and BJ, like the whole Euphonetics. And when I thought about it, I said, I remember the day at Xavier, you were like, oh, you rap? Hey, these my guys from Dillard, they rap too. 1999, it's just like, you get older, you be like, damn, when did I meet Chuck and them? I met them through you.
That's right.
Cause you'll think like, you know how people make these stories and be like, yeah, I met it. No, I met it through mail. Over there by St. Joe. I remember when it happened. It was freshman year, and I was like, I met them, and I've been rocking with them. They on the project, you know what I'm saying? I've been rocking with them all this time. But yeah, that's the connection. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. I appreciate you giving me that.
That was a long time ago, dude.
Yeah, 99. I'm telling you, that was a time to be alive.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
And I remember too when we were out in that choreo. I think we were freestyling. Like it was a group of us trying to freestyle out there, have a cipher, and all.
Yeah.
And that just so much. Thank you for those flowers, Don. Because yes, you know, hip hop is me. You know, I'm very true to this, not new to this, and this is my opportunity in this type of a project to be able to showcase those movements and those time frames, because it's so, you know, such a phenomenal growth in that. You know how much confidence and how much, you know, brain capacity you truly have to be an MC. You know, whether you have a degree or not, right? You have to truly be someone who has content, has some type of a background, some type of a stance, especially when you think about that underground hip hop versus that mainstream. And that's something too that I really appreciate with your music, is that it brings that traditional underground hip hop sound to a more contemporary world, right? So thinking about rap in 99 and 2025, you know, what are some differences that you see, or that whether they're great or not, what are some differences that you see from back when we were out, you know, having a cipher on Xavier campus, Xavier, New Orleans, Louisiana, or even now as a seasoned artist that we are? What kind of differences do you see?
At least speaking from a Memphis perspective, the whole rap game sounds like my city. And I mean, like, not even when I listen to the radio now, it sounds like 1989 to 1995. Like that period, that's what the music sounds like. And it reminds me, like, dang, they was that far ahead. The cadence, the sampling, the drums. I would go as far as to say New Orleans and Memphis. I would say like the game sounds like New Orleans when we were in New Orleans, maybe like 98 to like 2002. And then like just other rap, like from Memphis, I would say from 1989 to maybe 1995. Early Memphis, because it sounds from Drake on the way down. They sample stuff that when I'm hearing these samples, I'm like, you know, Drake has a song called Nonstop. And the dude that he samples on this song Nonstop is an underground guy named Mac Daddy Jew. And I'm like, how did he find that? That's an underground tape from Orange Mound. This is when things were segmented in the city. Where it was like, okay, North Memphis, South Memphis. That's where Orange, like, we were listening to our own place. Now, my neighbor was Project Pat and GJ. They were way older than me, but they lived right behind me. Yo Gotti went to my high school. Who else went to? It's so many people of that era. You know what I'm saying? But I would say that. I would say also the game has become, I would say, like, kind of narrow in the spectrum of how they speak certain things, because being somebody that grew up in the 80s, the real 80s, grew up in the real 90s, where right, it was a choice for you to be in a gang. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were being forced to be in a gang. You know what I'm saying? Or you were being forced by situations and circumstance to actually have to sell drugs or have to make these things. And I'm not being moral and all of that. I'm just saying that this is just what I saw as a child growing up. And then to see it now where you have like kids, I feel like they come from relative privilege, kind of they're in gangs. And I'm like, what are you in the gang for? You didn't grow up around this. Well, you know, it's cool. Or what you said, like, don't selling drugs, illegal substances, whatever. But what you are doing is but we're in high school, and I'm just in there, you know, to see when I left to go to New Orleans. I mean, that was like a turning point in my life. I was 17 years old. I mean, I had folks that were in jail. It's folks that was in jail when I went to Xavier that's getting out now. You know what I'm saying? They were throwing football numbers at kids. This is 3 strikes. I grew up in the midst of the beginning of that, so it's like you see that being kind of like the only thing that's kind of being promoted these days. And at least I could say, at least when we were in school, we at least got that balance, at least to say wasn't necessarily a real, but a sound thing. You had a choice to be like, well, I look him, but I like Hill. You know, you had that choice. Now you don't really have that choice. I mean, not on a mainstream level, and that's why, you know, that's what I would say. The biggest thing now is that it's just you don't really have a choice from a corporate standpoint. I would say that you have more of a choice now, but it has to be more in you to be like, I want better, or I want to listen to it. Because an artist like me is someone you're gonna probably have to find. You're not gonna catch me on terrestrial radio. I'm on satellite radio. But you're gonna find me in like mainstream places, even though maybe sometimes the beats, whatever, come get what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about the exact same thing as the other guys talk about. And then the worst thing is everyone's talking about the same things. And it's talking about it. It doesn't make sense these days. You're not tracking in 2025. AI, we in the tech zone right now. You're not doing that. The way they have triangulation, they got something on your phone right now where they're pinning people on crimes where it's GPS. Like in cases, and I got brothers, like my actual siblings, you know what I'm saying, where they pulling out phones and I wasn't over here. They pulling.
That cell tower will definitely track that location. And just to add to what the dialogue was saying, and so with the technical issues, you know, we heard what the brother was definitely saying is that how hip hop has changed, but it's going into this era of bringing back that 80s 90s feel, right, where you have that 80s 90s type of a cadence and lyric and even content wise, because in the 80s and the 90s, not only was it entertainment, it helped to form identities of people, right? Having that type of music, that type of styles to present to the audience made it, you know, worthwhile. I would even say hip hop being a coping mechanism for some, not just what we see in the United States, but all over the globe. You know, hip hop has these festivals, they have this pedestal of what hip hop truly brings to every culture all around the world. So the dialogue is absolutely correct when it comes to those pieces of how being able to use this form of expression and seeing it grow, you know, in different aspects, whether you are the one that actually may have the survivor's guilt by going off to college and getting out of the situation, or if you're that person that's in that situation trying to see that silver lining, trying to see that out. You know, hip hop music is what makes it common for us all. We can all have that way to express ourselves through the music. So I appreciate you sharing that dialogue, because that's very true, especially with that 80s, 90s type feel that the newer artists that are coming about. I also want to make mention about how you said about that underground, you know, you having to really conduct your research to be able to find those kind of artists. And I think back in the day, you know, when we were younger, when we were kids, I think that's what made those barns even more special, is that to find somebody that knows Dale the Funky Homo Sapien, like, oh yeah, you know, how do you know him and what songs do you know? And then, you know, being able to exchange that. And back in our day was analog. It wasn't any digital. So it wasn't just sending a link. It was sharing a CD or burning a CD or having the cassette tape. So that's very contrasting to how it is now with the digital way. And I hope people find more out about you, La Dialogue, whether it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio. You know, someone's listening. And I said this on a prior podcast, Tyler, the Creator, promotes that, where it's not just about the numbers. You're not out here trying to compete with anyone. You are making and creating your own lane. You know, being outside the box, damn the box. We make our own boxes, and that's exactly what you're doing with your music. Because again, a lot of artists will chase trends. They'll do what's trendy, right? They'll do what you know, whatever they think everybody else wants to see, that's what they do. But from my perspective, you're a storyteller, you're an animator. And so it's like you're making something deeper. So, you know, tell us about these seeds that you have watered in the Overground Consistent Super Deluxe Collector's Edition. Tell us about those seeds that you're trying to grow in the minds and the ears of your audience. Yep. And again, with that, when he jumps back in, no worries with the technical issues. Yet with the sounds from the overground, it definitely comes from a storytelling, something much deeper that these artists, along with the dialogue, are trying to grow. So the dialogue, tell us about these seeds in this garden
Yo,
that you're creating with this latest installment of Overground Consistent.
ironically, I mean, I dropped the original Overground consistent probably a few months prior, but just I had some. I was working on other projects, but it was just like a lot of deaths in the family and stuff. It was a lot of like personal things that was going on that kind of hindered when I was trying to drop it. But ironically, once I got finished doing the last mixing, you see the clips drop. You see like other guys dropping, and it's like, oh, okay, this spiritually feel right. I said, okay, I'm gonna drop this right now. Now these are companion songs to the original Overground Consistent. The whole my thing is every title that I've ever put out of a mixtape has always been like this. I call it like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So like content, the original Content Never Content, I dropped that in 2014 because of what I started seeing. Or what's another title? I mean, obviously, Overground Consistent was me kind of telling myself to stay consistent because now you're hearing it now where it's like older MCs, y'all need to drop the music. I'm like, we've been dropping, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's just the self-fulfilling prophecy of just kind of keeping yourself going. Now, subject matter wise, I'm talking about a little bit of everything. Me and Chuck got up, you know what I'm saying, the part 3 joint. Me and Moose Harris, I mean, Pivot, that particular song was just kind of like the mantra of where some people feel like they are right now. It's like sometimes you can't do the exact same thing. You might have to pivot. You might have to move and make this move this way. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking of it from a certain way. Moose Harris is speaking on it from a certain way. But like these songs are, like I said, like how some people say throwaway. They weren't throwaways to me because it was what I was feeling at that moment. And even from like I think the original Overground Consistent where I had album equivalent units, now getting licensing situations and getting like these opportunities that music is being used in like films because I see ASCAP statements, so I'm like, dang, someone you know what I'm saying using this, but you're seeing stuff now and they're like just learning what the album equivalent unit is now with Spotify and kind of dealing with streaming, embracing it in a certain fashion, but not necessarily relying on it and using it for a different purpose. But I didn't really get too deep on this particular record. But like I said, it was just a lot of stuff that was going on. A lot of stuff that was going on, like I say, like family wise, personal. That just like, man, you got to keep dropping. That's my mantra to anybody is like keep dropping. Like, and the reason I say the clips actually. I was listening to the clips. I was in Hawaii. I was in Hawaii a few weeks ago, and they were like, something. I'm in Waikiki. I'm like, dang, I'm in Waikiki. You know what I'm saying? Chilling. It's just, you listening to it, and that's why I think a lot of people gravitate toward that record, and a lot of people gravitate toward my record. Like, because I mean, when I was younger, the reason I called myself Lil Dialogue was because I knew I wasn't gonna be Little Die all these years. So by the time I was like 13, I was like, I'm Lil Dialogue. So I get a lot of spins in like France because they think it's French. Ironically, I moved to New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? But I just kept it like that Lil Dialogue, because I was looking forward and looking ahead. I'm not gonna be little as I am rapping like this, and then I'm not gonna be even rapping what I was rapping then now, because it's easy to it's a lot of people don't stand on the words that they say. I can stand on everything that I say. I don't say a lot of stuff, but it's also being able to stand on what you're saying, but then also I can't let you have everything, because in a certain way, if I talk about certain street things, you'll think I'm glamorizing it. Because that's one thing I hated when I got to college, was that I'm like, y'all don't know what I really came from for real. And ironically, the school is in the middle of Gertown in Holly Grove, and you had the Calio and the Magnolia, and we had all that stuff there. I was comfortable. People that went there to school with us was not comfortable. I knew that intimately, and I knew what my purpose was there for, where other people were kind of, gravitating towards certain things and kind of idolizing. I'm like, man, I got a homeboy that's in the feds right now. This is when I was a teenager. catching charge. I remember how brutal. That's why I say I can look back at it now. I'm like, the laws are crazy now, but I remember you got caught with a gun in Memphis. When I was a kid, they was giving you 15, 20 years. They were throwing you away. Now, when I went to Memphis the last time, I went to the Bass Pro, the pyramid, walked up in there, eyes bucking. That guy was like, "Oh, well, shoot, all you need is fill out this background form and you get an AK-47." I said, "Oh, that makes sense." That now you can see what's going on in the streets, where you could just walk in here and get a Kalashnikov, and then that's just, these are the things where you have to put it in perspective when you're like, well, it's a lot of violence in Chicago. Well, all you need to do is just drive to Gary, shouts out Freddie Gibbs, drive to Indiana where the laws are like not as strict, and then just drive right back. There's where all your guns are coming from. It's stuff like that. So it's certain realities that I speak on. Keep it vague in a lot of sense because I don't want to glorify it, but still keeping it real. And even tapping into like Letter to the Tastemakers. I've had 3 of them, and it's particular people, but it's not. No, I'm speaking to particular people in a real way. Like Elliot Wilson, yeah, I'm talking to you because it was all cool when certain things was whatever. Now, media is going in a way. I have a degree in mass comm. It's not the same way it used to be. So now you have people like Melanie doing her thing. That independence, we were trying to get a daggone radio antenna. I remember like 15. Shouts out to Dr. Crump too. You know what I'm saying? But like trying to get a radio antenna when everything is like now on your phone, on your laptop. It's technology caught up to a lot of different things, and it made everything equal now. So it's not because you're a journalist that you're better than Joe Budden actually rap. I'm not saying he's better, but I'm like, he may be able to get something out of a rapper that you may not be able to get something out of. Or you're so busy trying to get the Drakes and the Jay-Z's, you're not looking at me and other artists and stuff of a magnitude that are coming up. And then it's like when they come up, it's like, well, hey, Dollar, why you won't mess with me? And it's like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it is now. That's why you see a lot of older rappers getting into the podcast game and getting into like the media game, because it's a special thing to control your message in your music, media, and everything else. So
instead of letting it be controlled,
so,
right? No, it should not be controlled.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people.
There's a lot of people controlling.
That are controlling, and there are people who allow to be controlled, right? I want to take what you just said about definitely listening to clips, and they're talking about Waikiki, and you're being in Waikiki at the same time. You're on a higher vibration when you're looking well past what is in front of you, where it's not just about the views on TikTok, it's not about the numbers, it is about trying to secure this legacy. And that's what I hear when I listen to your music, is that you are laying down this legacy, this legendary type sound that encompasses the realness of it all. And everybody can't understand that real. Where before, back in the 80s and 90s, life would be lifing, and you would have that experience, and you might see it in a movie. But now everybody thinks they're a gangster because, like you say, their cell phone, okay, I can listen to this song, I can see this and try to duplicate it. Yep. But that real life though, and I think that's what really captures the audience with true hip hop, is that you can hear the perspective of someone who has been oppressed and suppressed in different situations. And using hip hop as a coping mechanism, whether you are a lyricist or a dancer or even in the fashion of it, hip hop was created to ensure that the audience that is able to touch can actually grow from that. And I really appreciate too, Don, when you talk about not trying to glamorize, the specifics of the street life. Like, it's nothing fun. It's nothing that anybody should have as a goal for, to be or to even try to look like. But it's also important to stay real and to showcase your identity. So, and your work speaks directly to Black creativity, independence, and evolution. So in your opinion, what role does hip hop still play in Black liberation, or just liberation of all? What role does hip hop, and do you see artists today still carrying that torch without losing themselves?
I mean, hip hop is going to always be here. I honestly believe people are looking for a new genre. It's no more the 20th century. All genres were created by black people too. That's a whole different discussion. But it's no more new genres. It's going to all be derivatives of everything else, and you're going to have us tapping into things. I think what's going to happen now is that, and the South is already done it. I'm gonna speak for the South always because we weren't allowed to really sample. So a lot of the music that you had was played. Manny Fresh of the world, the Paul and Juicy, they sampled, but they played. Who was that? What's my guy from Texas, man? Dang, Pimp C. Yeah, I was about to say Pimp C. Pimp C had broke out the Hammond, like the old church organ, and had the meters playing on Riding Dirty. So right now, I think they're trying to destroy hip hop because it is, when you get older, the difference, I was telling somebody years ago, I said the difference between Jay-Z and Eminem, Eminem's white, but he's rich and white. So his thing is going to always be like, he's going to have problems that the general masses is not going to have. He's more aligned to what you consider the elites, even though he thinks and he knows I'm more aligned with these common people, the hoi polloi, you know what I'm saying? Where Jay-Z knows. Jay-Z is up $1 billion and he knows I'm one accusation away from losing it all. Kanye, he didn't lose it all, but he lost a lot. And you're one statement from losing it all. So that's why, Jay-Z was doing like, he did the Magna Carta, but then he was like, let me go and do this 444.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, I mean, now Solange put a daggone heel in his side. Ouch. You know what I'm saying? In the elevator. But,
yeah.
He was like, man, maybe I need to go do something a little bit better because I'm getting older. And that's what you're seeing a lot of artists. I think Rick Ross had like a record with like Meek. Might have been like a year ago, and it wasn't well received because you didn't really see the growth. Because at a certain point in a certain genre, that's why I keep saying the Clips, because it's like they talking street stuff, they talking dope stuff, and they done it in a way where it's almost artistic. A West Side Gun, the Griselda movement is not really too much different than what we doing. It's an artistic value to it that makes it like whatever. Whereas when you have somebody like even Young Jeezy, he like, I ain't young no more, I'm Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like he performs records as a capsule of time, but this is not where I am as a man today. Because you can't tell me, I grew up, you know what I'm saying, in Memphis with Craig Pettis ran Memphis. I didn't see the BMF, but in New Orleans and certain, like, you saw the influence of the BMF. I said, me, the crazy thing, me been to jail and got a jail, people still running back. It's just, it used to can't wait to, it's the old the bando when you hear the Migos talk about bandos, really just rap. I guess you would say it's a urban interpretation of what the early forms of gentrification in 07, 08, 09. Because in my neighborhood, there was a lot of people leaving these homes, foreclosed on. The drug dealers was like, hey, we can sell dope out of these homes. Hint the bando. You know what I mean? But like now, you can't say that in 2025. The drug laws are very, very harsh. The only good thing I guess you could say now when you talk about drugs and rap is like the fentanyl and the opioid crisis. Sorry.
Yep, that's some real spit he's talking. The unfortunateness of all that is inspired in hip hop music is from those realities that the alcoholism, the substance abuse, the trafficking, there's a lot of, again, hip hop being used as a coping mechanism for those types of situations that the dialogue was talking about. So yeah, continue on with what you were saying on the dialogue about,
it didn't get crazy into the opioid, it started affecting other communities, and then now it's like, hey, we need to be more sensitive. We grew up in the crack era. There was no sensitivity to that. I remember somebody put a meme up, and I vaguely remember this song, Yo Mama on Crack Rock, or Crack is Whack. Like, that wasn't a cool. Yeah, mama, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that wasn't cool. But then now that other groups are being affected, shout out to Hunter. You know, saying other folks, they being affected now. We should be more sensitive, this and that, and we have needs and this and this and that, this compassion and this empathy that was not given to Black Americans in the 80s or the 90s, and that's something that I feel like I said, just with the game now, it's the game is gonna go back to like it's. I was watching Sinners. I'm Sammy holding that guitar. It's gonna go back to this rawness. It's gonna go back to this uncorporate. I guess you would say this uncorporate co-signed music. It's gonna still be rap. And that's why so many people are going through like they're going back and tapping into, I guess you would say, the indigenous hip hop sounds of certain regions. So like now, Big Frida and all those are people that music we heard, we didn't even see them. Now that people are going to tapping back into bounce. Like, bounce is always what bounce is, but I mean on the international level. Now they're not even going 365 years. When I was grown, they going through my I was a preteen. They going way back. DJ Squeakies and the DJ Spanish Fly. This records that I heard way back. They going back to stuff where you would have to find it on the tape, and that's where the real is coming. And I mean, the youth that are coming up behind it is new to them too. But I think just once you're being fed so much, like I used to like McDonald's. I stopped eating McDonald's about 20 years ago. But once you get fed a Big Mac so much, you just like, I want something different. And I think the corporations, they're like, nah, I don't want anything different but the numbers. Now they have things called algorithms, which I rap about a lot. They can see like, nah, this ain't, we putting all this money, we putting millions of dollars behind these sexies and these littles and these others. It's not, what's that girl, Rhapsody? Where's she at? We need some, okay, yeah, it's getting back to that because it's so much fake that is out here right now that people are looking for something real economically. I don't think Black folks have ever been in a situation where we've been on top economically, so we kind of alright with it. But it's squeezing other folks, right. And they're just like, hey, well, what the Black folks listen to, and the clubs are closing. You can't really rock with club music like that anymore. Sections and stuff, it ain't nobody dancing. I mean, they tried with Afro beats. They were trying with Afro beats, but then now they're cutting the legs from Afro beats because like now you're using samples. So now all of these companies, Blackwater and Blackstone, all these companies, Primary Wave, they're buying people's catalogs wholesale. Now you can't sample anything. So that's why you're hearing people that are sampling stuff that used to be in the 70s. You're hearing folks sample stuff that we was in college. You're like, damn, this song ain't 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? You be like, this is a remake of what Prince say? The samples of the samples of the samples. You're just sampling something that just recently came out because like now you're gonna have to be original, or you're gonna have to be original to yourself because like now they have album. Well, I was uploading through my distributor a few months ago. They have things now where if you sample certain things, if you're not chopping it up a certain way, they'll pull your record. That's where it is right now, where it's like, well, the feeling isn't there. Well, you can't just sample what you want to sample willy-nilly now. All of these corporations that bought these catalogs up. So that's like you saying where hip-hop is going to be now, we'll make a way. These babies that's coming behind us, they're going to get in front of the piano like I used to. They're going to, and they're going to start making their original music, and it's going to just be original from now. Trust me, you'll see it. I used to say 10 years, like you're going to see it now, where it's going to be like people are not underground people. They may still sample and they may still do their thing, but as for like mainstream people, you're not going to be able to do it on a bigger level because financially it's just not feasible anymore. Now, subject matter wise, the condition is going to change the subject matter because it ain't going to make sense for you to rap about bandos and bricks because ain't nobody. I mean, I'm from there. Ain't nobody moving no bricks. Not these young boys. You 3'5" and then you 1 gram and you ain't really doing what it is, and it's just like it's not translating into music. So now, even with the ratchetness, drill music died because everybody died. You had an op, you make a record, your op shoot you, they shoot you. King Von gone. Quando Rondo they tried to kill Quando Rondo. They shot up his car. Like Drill music died because everybody killed each other. The only person that really made it out, I seen in Los Angeles one time, I seen Steve Keith. He said, I never back to Chicago because it's, this is the like I ain't gonna say I say so. It's a condition of poverty. Because give us 10 years or 20 years to be whatever is what the music is. Go back and listen to music. If we're in 2025, go back and listen to music right before the Great Depression. We were coming up, we were striving. And then the Great Depression hit, and then we got kicked back down. But that's where we are now, where it's like people are trying to say, like, hey man, I want to hear something a little different. You know what I'm saying? No, knock to Sexy Red or Suki Hunter. She be doing the most. But no knock to that. But hey, let me hear something over here. That's why, girl, I know you in Texas. Girl, I know you tired of a fan right now. Them girl, my little nieces. Because that's where the energy is at. We want to dance. We want to feel positive. We want to be on it. Now, the music don't have to be quasi-positive, but it's going to be where I want to listen to something when I'm riding versus I'm shooting at my ops. Because like it used to be in the time when you listen to these records and they weren't real records. Now, the Memphis records was real, but certain places you listen to it was like, it's art. No, it's real. You'll hear a record now and so-and-so, Little D, and Little D dies next week. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's making it real for people now, where they're like, drill music isn't the lick. Yeah, because people were dying when Scarface and them was talking about it back in the day, but now you're really seeing it where someone comes up, and I mean, even they're trying to think with what's my girl from New York, pretty little girl, with the afro, not Stacey Red. What's that girl? Yeah, they call it like pretty girl. Not she's from New York. Forget that girl name right now, but they got something there where it was like, we're gonna do cute drill. That ain't gonna because you're gonna have to drill at a certain point. Even my girl Glorilla from my neighborhood, Glorilla and Gloria Hallelujah Woods. That's her real name. I ain't trying to put it out there like that. That baby grew up in the church like me. It's like, yeah, she do me. Little son, she want to get this little BET thing. So I'm trying to think with Kurt Franklin. So it's everyone gets that time to grow, but you start off a certain place, but then you elevate. And the people that weren't elevating over this time, they hurting right now. They're like, well, maybe I'll try a podcast. But you weren't a great rapper in the first place. So what makes you think you're gonna be a great orator or that captures people's attention? So that's where it is right now. So I mean, now hip hop is not gonna stop. We're gonna always rap. It's a song from 1919, Memphis, by Bill Street Jug. It's called Memphis Beat Cocaine Blues. 1995, 19 talking about what we've always talked about what you talk about now. It's just it's gonna have to be a balance. The balance is karmically the balance is gonna come back because you're gonna come outside, man. My bills, I can't think of the strip club. I can't do money and drip. What to listen to that you're this soul and those people tap into that. But they're going to be the ones that are going to be.
And I hated to cut him off there, but I like when the dialogue was talking about that watered down sense of the music and that, that resurgence of wanting something more. Think back, audience, my hip hop family that's here and that's listening, think back to that music 10 years ago, 15 years ago, especially if you're around that age where you can think back to that transition to digital from analog. If you had the cassette tapes and thinking about how that music stirred something in you, as opposed to now where you just have the music on almost as just noise in the background. And so that transition from where music really told a story, they methodically put accompaniments together as opposed to just that entertainment. Music not necessarily is used as legacy building as it used to be. But I like how the dialogue is saying that it's coming back to that, like this renaissance of bringing hip hop back to its roots, where it's teaching, we're learning, we are vibrating higher. And then you have I won't say old school because Clips and Jay-Z and even the dialogue, although we are seasoned in hip hop, but it's also what Clips had mentioned to say. I think it was Pusha T that made the mention that, nobody's too old or too young to do anything. It's going to be straight talent. It's off of what you know, what you can produce, and what you can show. And that epitomizes what hip hop does and brings. And again, the derivative, the things that we keep hearing that are recycled over and over and over again, it loses its substance. But how do we get back to those roots? How do we get back into those moments of listening to that music where you can dance, you can make those connections with others, you can feel that those lyrics expressing how you feel about a certain thing, certain people, even of yourself. I like, again, what the dialogue was talking about, being original to yourself, right? And I think that definitely clocks it, is original to self, right? Because this podcast is not just about the promotion of hip hop, but the uses, the discourse that hip hop allows and brings. And there's so many different facets to it. Just as if we talked about classical, if we talked about country music, music does that all together. Yet hip hop, for whatever reason, and for the many reasons, it's not necessarily allowed to be placed into those same pedestals or being allowed to be played in those same nuances as many other genres. And so we want to unpack the why. We want to know the why, and we want to push for hip hop to be more than just that entertainment, but to be a part of the dominant narrative because of what it does and what it brings. So I appreciate what the dialogue is sharing and what you're talking about. But let me ask you this, dialogue. Let me ask you a question. If you could have one producer, living or dead, for a full-length album, who would be on your board?
One?
One producer. They can be living or dead. I'll give you two.
Just one?
I'll let you choose two. But if anybody could be on your boards for a full-length album, who would that be, living or dead?
Oh. Damn.
I know it's a hard question to think about. There's been several producers, right? And when you think about producing the music, putting that music together, that sound engineering for a full-length album, I wonder in the chat. Let's check the chat out. I think he was talking about Ice Spice too. I thought that as well in the chat. Thank you for that. So we're back.
Yes. It was Ice Spice, but yeah. You said two producers, man. Recency bias is gonna probably be like Alchemist or something, either Alchemist / Madlib. But for me, I'm gonna keep Memphis. I would want to do a album, probably like a OG Memphis. It would probably be DJ Spanish or so that would be my slash. Slash Alchemist / Madlib, or Spanish or all this like production duo. So I mean, I definitely want to do something with them. I would say I would apologize you with because we're from there, because sonically the Sonic is going to be there and just take the Sonic is where lyrics some of the.
Okay, the audio is messing up just a bit. But I wonder for the audience, and just thinking back on those producers. And then also, I got another question for the dialogue. What if you were stranded on an island and you could only bring 3 albums with you? What albums would that be? And I'm talking to my audience with this while we wait for the dialogue to come back. You were stranded on a deserted island and can only bring 3 albums with you. What would those be? All right. And so asking that to the audience, we got a dialogue back in. Yeah. So we talked, you shared your
predictions. You said three albums?
Yeah. If you're stranded on a deserted island, what 3 albums would you bring with you and why?
Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear. Maybe probably have so on the Memphis like I'd be like it'll be like it have to be a Memphis album. So I'll just put that as Memphis album, Memphis rap album. But dang, just three, something different. I probably would have. You want to know something? Yeah, it would be Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear. It'll be. You want to know something? I would say 8Ball MJG in our lifetime.
Okay.
And Volume 1, and then probably just off the top, probably something jazzy, probably like John Coltrane, Giant Steps. So if you just said just off the top, it's so many.
That's such an array of genres there too, though, Don. That's really dope. Go from Marvin Gaye and then to John Coltrane and then that Memphis album. I think that would definitely fit the bill on any deserted island.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Marvin Gaye is a staple in the city of Memphis, and that was one of his critically panned albums in his lifetime. The album when he got divorced, Here My Dear, it's like a soulful blues. Memphis folks love that album. I grew up with that album. So, and if you listen to Sippin' on Scissor, that's what they sample. That dun dun. That's what that's from. So definitely.
You know, in your hip hop.
Just 3 hours? Golly, man.
Just the three. There's just some fun questions.
Yeah. Okay.
And
okay.
Again,
all
this
right.
is just my first interview of many. I want to welcome you back to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. I want to ask you 2 more questions, and then we'll see if anybody in the audience has a question or two. So a hip hop moment or a lyric that still gives you goosebumps every time you hear it, whether it's your music from another artist, a hip hop moment or a lyric that gives you goosebumps every single time you hear it.
Hip hop shit. You only give me one. Golly. For me personally, and I remember when he said it too. If I ever see him, and I've run into a lot of rappers in my life, actually, for real, like really famous rappers. But if I ever see Andre 3000, when he got up on that stage and he said, because I could tell, if you know him, you could tell he was nervous. He was nervous when he said it, but he said it from his heart. But he was like, man, he was like, I got a demo tape, don't nobody want to hear it. But man, the South got something to say. That, ask any lyricist from the down South, when he said that, it was over with at that point. When I saw that, I said, nah, we in there now. Because I'm like, they were the best of us. You didn't send up, this is 94 or 95. You didn't send up 2 Live Crew. I mean, no problem, Luke. No deal. But they go up there. You said the best of us. And that's what they was received in the Mecca at that time. No hate to New York, but at that time they was received. He said that time he lit. There was my grandmother had old gas stuff. It was a pot, or he was one of them hot water heaters. It was a pot that like didn't need to be lit, and he lit that because you couldn't tell the South nothing after that. I'm talking about from 95 until now. It was just over at that point. And I always, when I see it, because you could tell, if you know Andre, he wasn't Pac. Like when you saw Pac when he was talking with Suge, that's Pac. Like when Suge was like, yo, that's what my homeboy is saying. Cause Pac is like, yo, if it was, you know what I'm saying, if it was chess, the West Coast women hollering, that's Pac. But when Andre said it, it was nervousness. It wasn't malicious. It was just like, I could just hear it in his head like, damn, man, they booing me. And really, let me keep it real funky, because if this gets on it gets on Instagram, TikTok, hey man, when they read their name out, I'm gonna put the whole thing in perspective. That go for Salt, Pepper, and I don't know, Play was up there, but definitely Kid was up there when they were like, son, the new group, Outkast. It just, you see when Andre, he's trying to get cut, like, it's they booed. Goody got booed. And Big Boy said something. They don't even remember what Big Boy said, but he said it out of nervousness. It was a little bit of anger. That's what he felt. And he stood on it. That changed everything. If Andre didn't say that, I mean, South would have came, but with the way that they came, in there. And that's, when I saw that, I said, no, it's no turning back. Because they were the lyricists. It wasn't the street guys. It was the lyricists, our poets, our griots from the South, and y'all did that to them. We finna trap, and actually in a bad way. Put it, man. We about to be trapping and pimping, and we gonna stand on what we standing on. You know what I'm saying? Cause by the time we got to New Orleans, girl, they was in City Park. In Hummers spinning out like, you know what I'm saying? Like we just gonna be blinged up. We gonna be we gonna wear our gold tee. You know, so that was a very pivotal moment. I think people should go back and watch that because you have to watch it not from when Andre says it, but before. Because when they said that, it took me years to see that. I'm like, why did he say that? And it was just, and I love me some salt. I still love salt. Salt looks beautiful. And when Salt said that, I said, oh, it was just like Outkast. I was like, wow. Looking at that then, and then looking at what the group is now, one of the greatest groups. You know, that's crazy. So no, that would be my moment always.
No,
I have a few more, but that would be my number one moment.
That legendary status, right? No matter what they do, no matter what they make changes to, they are legends, right? From back then to now, and for sure. And that is like the pivotal moment, especially for us in the South in this time frame. I think that did make a charge where then you had the emergence of No Limit and Cash Money.
That was I think you said a charge. That was an atomic bomb. And you got to think, Andre and Big Boy was 18 at that time. They were kids,
right,
when they won it. They weren't 20, they were 18. And they were like, no, it was like a nuclear. Anybody that's of age, I would say anybody 40 years old and has seen that, they will remember that, especially if they rap as Luda. Especially all them Atlanta boys, definitely. But as Pimp C used to say that all the time. You need to listen to Andre. I got something to say. It was just, it hit everybody because was the feeling, and it was just like, dang, you gonna do that to the best of us. Like, now I'm just standing on my own, you know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, like how I moved, you know, from there.
That's such a good time.
That's just one.
Yeah,
yes.
For this round, though, okay, just for this round, I have one more question. I want to honor your time. I want to honor our audience time with everything. I'm proud to say we still have an audience that's here with us. So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So finish this sentence for the people. This will be my last question for you, though, Don. Hip hop is not just music. Hip hop is. Yeah, something to think about. Hip hop is not just music. Hip hop is what to you? This has been an amazing journey talking with LaDialogue. He's going to jump back in, and then we're going to sign off to get his answer here. But if you ever want to be a guest on the platform, send us an email, the hiphopscholar3000@gmail.com. This is only first of many interviews we're going to have with LaDialogue. So LaDialogue, back to you, brother. Hip hop is not just music. Hip hop is
foundational Black American culture. 100%. Period.
Foundational Black American culture. I appreciate that. I stand with that too. I definitely agree. Break it down for us. Go ahead and break it down. Yeah.
Because it's been a discussion. I usually, we get, like these music discussions and stuff. It's been a lot of discussion about the origins of hip hop, and it's like it goes back and it's all. And I'm like, nah. When you go in New Orleans, when I go down there and see Auntie and them, what's the most important element when you're making gumbo? It ain't that scrimp. I said scrimps. It ain't, you know what I'm saying, the other spices. It's the root. When you talk about when Kool Herc, what records was he playing? Yes, he was Jamaican. Shout out to my Caribbeans. He was. But what was he wasn't playing? He wasn't playing no because he was playing that. He was playing that soul. And that has always been. They sample so much James Brown to even Brown said, hey. Like, we got to the 80s. Like, man, y'all sampled all stuff. It was just You step on the shop. Look at the class stuff. The drunk, Maceo, Bobby Bird, the whole Jack B's. Y'all done stamp on that man so much. That was the basis of your sound. And then to go back into blues, and then when you go back, and then when you're going back and you just like, well, what about blues? And you're going back to gospel. Even the discussion of gospel right now, it's like, nah, that's from the cotton fields when they were doing the call and respond mixed in with that, or with the jazz. It's like everything is just the black folks here. It's like we I love it. I'm like, I think we but I'm down the guy blues, country, jazz, R&B, soul, funk, I guess say psychedelic, which still funk, and then you got hip hop. Period. That's us hands down. And then even when it's getting, like I said, when things get corporatized in capitalistic society, I have to say a little whatever. When it gets like whatever, it's like, hey, go back now. When it gets like that into I guess it gets so big and you just like, well, nah, it wasn't those people that started it. No, because now the higher that they're getting, they're trying to get back to that essence. That was the whole thing of that movie. I keep saying Sinners because I love that movie, but it's like that essence. They kept trying to get that vampire walking and say, whoa, what's that? Up in that juke joint. And that's why I think a lot of stuff is going to go back to that whole old blues thing. It's going to go back to the juke joint, and I mean it's going to be smaller. So what you're going to see, you're not going to see these big shows a lot. It's going to be these intimate venues. Oh Lord, my dog barking. But it's going to be these intimate venues. Hold up. DD, get Spark out of here. Go. It's going to be intimate venues. It's going to be I guess you would say like more focused. Yeah, my dog is tripping right now. But it's going to be intimate venues. You're going to see more focused lyricism. More so, people are going to talk about things really in their life. It's not going to be as aspirational as I got made, especially in I got 10 cars and stuff. It's going to be, hey, man, I'm trying to pay my bill, dog. That might be the song. I'm trying to pay my bill, dog. And folks going to feel it like, nigga, we trying to pay our bills. It's going to get back to that. Even the music is going to get back to that, because it's not a lot of love in R&B right now. It's not a lot of love right now, and it's everybody kind of whatever, especially black men, black women. That's a whole different discussion. But it's going to get back to that because you ain't going to have nowhere else to run to. It's going to be like we going to have to get back to depending on one another. It's going to get. I think sometimes economics and capitalism makes stuff where it forces you to be like whatever. Because like in segregation, we couldn't shop at these places because you would get killed for shopping at these places. So it's like, well, let me make my own clothes and let me make this, and I can't perform at the Cotton Club. Let me go over here to this juke junk, or let me go over here. And I think now it's a fight because corporate is like, yo, we want to lock them out, but if we lock them out, we're gonna lose the sauce. So we need to get some of the top guys to get with us with influence. But then the thing is that they don't have the influence anymore. And that goes back to what I was saying, the letter to the tastemakers. The tastemakers don't have the influence that they think they have. I might have more influence than them. I've been a journalist. No, I'm from what you're writing about. I've lived that. So people are going to go there. They're going to say, well, Mel is talking the real. I'm not going to go over here to some whatever. They're gonna come to the real, and that's what's gonna happen. I mean, I believe in my heart that's what it's gonna be, period. You'll see it. I used to give things like 10 years. Stuff is moving so fast now, especially where we are as a country. I'm like, man, the world was burning 5 years ago, and then now people had optimism and like, man, it's gonna get better, and it ain't got better. I done grew up. I've lived long enough to know. I'm like, nah, it's gonna get a little bit more worse. But it's going to be something special that's coming.
Yeah, a little bit.
So
that resilience and that perseverance, and that encompasses that Black American experience. Is that perseverance, being resilient to a fault on any and everything that comes to it, and that rhythm and blues. They love the rhythm but don't love our blues.
Oh yeah.
But the truth,
they hate the blues.
They hate the blues. But that's the reality. That's the only way.
Yeah, they hate them blues.
and understand the whole basis of why the culture is what it is. So, man, it has definitely been a joy to have you on, Brother Don. I really appreciate this, and this is one of many, right? I said it here for the audience.
Oh yes, yes,
So
definitely. I'm
yeah,
coming
now
back.
you got to. You definitely
I'm gonna
got
try to
to.
get to my other office because I'm got a phone and laptop. I'm gonna set it up next time because I'm like, golly, I'm grabbing everything, but we gonna get it together though. I'm probably be in the office. I'm gonna get something else because I'm like, I got it halfway together today,
No,
but
we
it's
got to
good
keep
to
it
see
real.
you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good to hear from you. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. Cause it's like, girl, I lost so many of y'all over the, well, not lost, but I just ain't seen everybody, man. But shouts out to the old crew. Shouts out to Chuck. He on the album though. They don't count. BJ, Spark. Spark is in Africa probably right now. I don't know if you remember my boy Spark. Spark be going back and forth to Africa and stuff, man. The old crew, man, from back in the days. But I'm still doing my thing. New projects are coming soon, very, very soon. So, but yeah, definitely Overground Consistent Deluxe, man. Check that out.
For sure, for sure. Spotify, iHeartRadio, maybe even for a future podcast, we can debut it here, do a debut for one of those if we talk about
Yes,
it
yes,
there, and
yes.
then invite the audience back and do that. This was a very novel idea. It has been a wonderful and a joy and a blessing to see you too, Brother Don, to see everybody staying true to
Yes.
who we really are. You know what I'm talking about? When it comes to hip hop, you can't fake the funk.
Oh
It
yeah.
is who it is who we
No.
grew to be and continue to grow to be as well. So yeah, big shout out to everybody from Xavier, Dillard, New Orleans, all together. South Side, got Gulf Coast, got Memphis, LA, all around the world. Thank you for joining us for the Hip Hop Scholar podcast. I am Melanie, the Hip Hop Scholar. We'll see you for the next one. We out of here.
All right.